Hi Saber fans, Scarecrow here with a quick instructional video for the Lethal Crystal Frog Apprentice Saber. That should make it a little bit easier for everybody to use. First thing you're going to want to do when you get the box, obviously, is to go ahead and charge your batteries. I've included 4 of these blue 15266 3.6 volt batteries and a charger for those. If in the future you're looking for batteries and you can't find the blue ones, you can always use these Ultrafire 15273 volts. They'll work just as well. You can normally find 4 in a charger for somewhere between 10 to 15 bucks, and they're much more readily available than the blue ones. So we have that. Then you're going to want to get your hilt and your chassis. A few things on the chassis. You'll find some connections here. The speaker connects whenever you screw it into the pommel, so there's nothing needed there. You do have a 1.3 millimeter charge port here, but I do suggest using the wall charger. It's less dangerous. You don't have to worry about the power being onto the board causing any damage and this and that, and it's just safer. I really prefer wall chargers. When we wire them in, it's one thing because everything's in a sealed circuit, etc., but they're exposed connections in these hilts with the drop-in battery bays, so safety first, use those. You'll also find that you have a rice port here, and you will probably need to make your own cable. I tried to use a step-down adapter a few times and it just wanted to connect intermittently. So you also have your SD card here. All you have to do is use some tweezers and then just pop that out. And then you can make all of your changes on your SD card. Just be careful not to break any of the connections or push too far, or, go too far with the board or anything like that. So when you're ready to put it together, you're going to want to find this switch actuator here. This isn't permanently attached, normally stays in place, but if you permanently attach it, you run the risk of having it seize up somewhere or lock up your on-off switch, so this will come off. You're going to want that to line up with the oval slot here. That is your on-off switch. So go ahead and get that started. Make sure those line up. And you can go ahead and drop in a couple of batteries. When you do, make sure that the flat side of the battery is on the spring so that you're not reversing what the board is getting. You don't risk any damage. So once you have this in, very slowly put this into the hilt. They're going to be tight at first. They loosen up over time, but they're always tight at first. So if it doesn't quite line up, just back it out, give it a little twist. And not quite, a little bit more. And that looks like it lines up. Then you're going to use this switch hat. You've got 2 of these. You're going to want to go ahead and slide that in, screw that in there, which is probably easier said than done in gloves. I'm trying to keep from getting fingerprints all over it. So once you get that started, it should be good to go there. This is the display emitter. It has sapphire crystals in it to diffuse the light, so you don't have to worry about blinding yourself. You don't want to slide that in. I found the best way to do these, like this thumb screw, goes on the back. Best way to do these is to just partially start each one and then tighten them down from each side. If you tighten down one too much, it makes the other one difficult. As if it's not difficult enough in these gloves. But you'll go ahead and tighten this down, tighten that down, make sure everything's seated properly. Then you're going to find your speaker here. This part isn't glued in. This screws on here. The reason I didn't glue this in is because speakers go. We all know that. So I didn't want to do anything where it was permanently attached. You couldn't get it out. You risk destroying the pommel in case the speaker should ever have any issues. But the speaker's fine. Screw that in. Switch it into the up position. Your top is the activation. And your bottom is the auxiliary. And then whenever you're done, just turn it off. Here you find the blade emitter. What you're going to want to do is get a 3/4 inch blade, 28-inch length is recommended. You want to put that in, take a rubber mallet and hammer it onto the bottom of the blade. There's no retention screw in here, doesn't really need it. Friction Fit normally covers it on this one. So make sure it's seated as far as you can possibly get. If it's only seated a few millimeters in, it will cause the blade to wobble back and forth and feel like it's just not seated properly, because it's not. And it will make it feel like the entire emitter is loose inside. So you do have that. And also inside, it's a little microfiber polishing cloth. Something to get you cleaning it up there. So I think that just about covers everything. If you need anything, obviously you know where to get in touch with me. And I sincerely hope you enjoyed these sabers. I really had a good time building them.